Hola, amigos y amigas. Welcome back to the channel. If you do not speak Spanish, you don't know what that means. That just means welcome, friends, men and women, back to the channel. I'm sure most of you probably could have figured that out, even the non-Spanish speaking guys out there. I like to floss sometimes. I don't really speak Spanish either. Just a little bit. Hablo muy poquito español. I have a few things that I can say in Spanish, but I can say those few things really, 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 really well. So I can kind of pull it off to a lot of people. Any non-Spanish speaking folks out there, oh, cool, you speak Spanish. You know, if a Spanish speaking, a native Spanish speaking person heard me, look at this white guy trying to sound like he can speak Spanish. Except they would probably say that in Spanish. But anyway, I'm not sure how to say that in Spanish. Something about a gringo and en español. Hable. Mira este gringo. See, I'm already lost. Anyway, I talk about everything on here, and sometimes it's just rambling shit that I talk about. Case in point, the first 45 seconds of this video have been about what? Absolutely nothing. You are correct. So anyway, I appreciate you guys joining me once again. I've been getting a lot of love on the channel recently, and I almost don't know how to take that. You know, I'm kind of like, damn. You know, I'm getting all kinds of cool comments, more subscribers. I'm pushing up towards 200 subscribers at this point. And just a lot of people telling me they're going back and binging my videos. And when I hear something like that, I'm just like, binging my videos? You are binging my videos. Now, wait a minute. I'm the one that goes and binges people's videos. You know, I go jog several days a week. And, you know, when I jog, I'm running at like a snail's pace sort of thing. I'll jog like 4 to 6 miles, but I'm not breaking any speed records when I do so. I do the old man jog, you know, and, you know, I binge listen to all kinds of different things when I'm jogging. And so to hear someone say that they were binging my videos or listening to my videos, and I copied a couple of the comments so I could say at Seeking Freedom 9020 sent me a comment the other day. He says, your videos are super entertaining. I've had you on while I'm at the gym the last 3 days. I love it, man. I love it. I love being someone's workout partner. You know, from one guy who loves to exercise to another. I appreciate that. I get it. I understand. You know, I like to binge things like that when I'm working out as well. So it feels really good, and it's very humbling to hear someone say that about my videos, you know, because again, I'm just a regular guy on his lunch break. Literally, you know. I work at 8 to 5, and every day from 12 to 1 I have a lunch break. I get some time to step out of the office. I come to a local park nearby that has some beautiful scenery, and I just sit here and I talk to you guys about what? Randomness, mostly, but I get all kinds of comments of people will say, I love your videos, I love your channel, I appreciate what you said about this or what you said about that. So apparently, somewhere mixed in all the randomness, I must get some good points in there somewhere, which I'm completely just spitballing every bit of this. I mean, I have certain topics that, like, maybe I want to talk about this today sort of thing, but I very rarely ever really stick to any sort of script, and I have a hard time getting to the point too, aka right now at this very moment. Dude, just get on with the video. Get on. Come on, dude. I'm working on it, I promise. I blame my mom for that. I'm a very long-winded sort of person, and when I tell something, I want to talk about the thing that I want to say, but before I get to that, I like to give a lot of setup detail. I want to set up the background, where I was when it happened, how old I was when it happened, what period of my life, who I was with at the time when it happened. I just go into all that, and it's funny because the family used to get really frustrated with my mom because she is a wonderful, dear, sweet lady who loves to talk, but if there is any one thing that I have to call my mom out for, it's the fact that she has trouble just getting to the point. And now look at me. Now look at me. I guess it's true what they say, that you will eventually become your parents despite all of your best efforts to not. But anyway, I love my mom. So, you know, that she is a super wonderful mom and just a compassionate human and intelligent human. And I couldn't ask for a better parent. So, anyway, moving on. So, I wanted to read one more comment, and then I kind of wanted to address what today's video is going to be about, and really probably what I'm going to title this video is something similar to "Why is a Kratom habit so hard to break?" Okay, and I'm going to go through a little bit of that because there's kind of writing on the walls that, like, you know, maybe Kratom is not quite as detrimental, and maybe it's not quite as addictive, and certainly the withdrawals aren't as bad as it is to something like a Vicodin or Percocets or heroin or some of the stronger narcotics and opiates. But I've absolutely heard people say, then why is the habit so extremely difficult to break? And I have some ideas on that, and I have some theories on that, and I'm also, if I can get there in time, because I'm so freaking long-winded, if I can get there in time, I'm also going to discuss some ways to deal with withdrawal, because I've had more than one person, more than two people, reach out to me and say, hey, can you discuss withdrawals? I'm just starting withdrawals myself from X, Y, or Z, and since you've gone through it, are there any you know, suggestions and techniques that you can offer to help with withdrawals from something like opiates? And so I'm going to try to address a little bit of that as well. One more comment that I wanted to read about my channel is love your channel and how you keep it real with regards to addiction. One thing that hardly ever gets talked about is withdrawal. People tend to skim past it. Could you please discuss how you made it through your worst withdrawals? Because a lot of folks will never get clean because their fear of withdrawals from opiates. That is a very true statement, and I talked about it yesterday about one of the reasons that an addiction to opiates is so hard to break is because folks are literally terrified of the withdrawals. And I'm telling you, if you've never been through it, it's something you can't have a full spectrum of respect for how shitty it is, just to be completely honest with you. And I've been through some of the worst ones, so I'm going to try to discuss a little bit of that as well. But that was from @Guru Shisha 5545, and this, I really appreciate that comment. I really, really do. When somebody says, I love your channel, or you have an entertaining channel, I've been listening while I'm at the gym. When someone says something like that, very, very humbling. And I'm very, very appreciative to you guys for that encouragement, but to just continuously watching the channel, because I'm a real guy living a real life day to day and with real struggles regarding substance abuse and drug addiction. But if anything, you know, that I say can help anyone else in their own journey with substance abuse or drug addiction, then I'm happy with that. You know, I'm extremely happy with that. So, I had a guy leave a comment several days ago, and he was trying to put some information in the comments about a way to get off of Kratom using pharmaceutical medications. And a lot of the first section, like when I first started doing this channel, probably my first 10, 15, 20 videos were about tapering from Kratom. And I've come to learn by hearing from other people during that time that not everyone is able to do a taper. And it's not just from hearing from other people. I've also learned that from the school of hard knocks, okay? Because I am no longer tapering myself off of Kratom. And one of the reasons for that is because as the days and the weeks extend, you know, you have drug addict mentality sort of excuses that you make for yourself. Well, you always can find this reason, whether it's some life event or today's my birthday and, you know, I want to feel good on my birthday, so let me take a little bit more. You have all these reasons where you take a couple of steps forward and then you take a couple of steps back, and all it takes is a few bad days of poor decision making, and what do you know? You're not tapering anymore. In fact, you're back up to where you were, you know, perhaps a week before. And so a lot of people have expressed to me that tapering is just not an option for them. I've had several people message me and say that they just, you know, let's talk about the withdrawals because I can't freaking do the tapering. I'm too weak-minded, or, you know, I make bad choices for myself, and I'm the kind of person where I'll put a good week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks together of tapering, and then I'll make a couple of bad decisions, and the next thing you know, I'm back up here again, taking 15 grams or 20 grams or just whatever I was before I ever even started the taper. And that is a true statement, and I can attest to that because I've literally been dealing with the same thing myself. And I got to a point about 6 weeks ago when my son was born, where a week before my son was born, I had not only come completely off of the MIT 45 extracts, but I had cut my Kratom powder use down to 2.5 grams per day. That's 4 capsules for the whole day. That's absolutely hardly anything in terms of, you know, Kratom users out there. That's a very, very, very moderate amount, okay? And now I would say at this point, just a few series of bad decisions, purchasing some powder as opposed to some capsules because a place didn't have the capsules I wanted, so I ended up buying some powder. You know, that led to another decision, and that led to another poor decision, and now I don't even know what I'm at. I'm gonna have to completely start the whole process over because for the last week, 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks, I mean, I've been taking, you know, perhaps 15 grams per day. I don't think it's much more than that, although I haven't necessarily been measuring it out. So I agree with that continuing a taper is very difficult for people who have substance abuse issues. I'm not saying it can't be done, but a lot of people have expressed that it's just a difficult proposition, and one that is difficult to maintain over a long period of time. And if you're one of those people that's taking a large amount, you know, a slow taper just may not be an option for you, because if you're taking a large amount, you may be looking at 6 weeks, 8 weeks, sometimes up to 3 to 6 months to taper off of something. That's a long time. That's a lot of days, a lot of hours, and a lot of minutes to remain really, really tuned in and really, really focused about not taking just one more scoop. Or I'll just have, you know, I'm going somewhere where I want to have fun with some people. You know, let me just take a few more capsules. You know, one incorrect decision like that, and one careless decision, and you've fucked up your taper, you know, and it could be something that you've put 3-4 months into. And it also, you know, brings me back to anytime I have ever quit some sort of opiate that I was addicted to, every time that I have done so, I'm gonna fix this because this is really bothering me. Straighten it out a little bit. That's better. Anytime I have ever done any sort of quitting an opiate for good has been a cold turkey sort of situation, and that lets me know why. You know, the first time I ever really tried a taper was several months ago when I actually started this channel. You know, I came off of the MITs, and my plan was to taper down off of the Kratom powder. And let's just say that never happened, because here we are, I'm about 3 or 4 months now into this this channel, have over 70 something videos, and I still haven't completely come off of the Kratom. So obviously my taper has been completely swept up under the rug, and so that is another reason for me to address you know, this particular email. So getting back to it, so there was a guy who had some pharmaceutical medications that he was trying to put into the comments. YouTube's algorithm is very interesting. It goes in and will delete things like this, because he messaged me and asked me if I was deleting the instructions, and I was like, I haven't even seen the instructions that you're talking about. So obviously it was something YouTube was doing, which this is normal for them. I've had people try to leave me their email or their phone number, you know, people that I've just connected with and tried to get in contact with. They wanted my information, my contact information, put their phone number in there, and YouTube deletes it, you know, and I'm not sure why that is, or if that's just something that it catches it sometimes. Sometimes you could get by with it, sometimes you might not be able to. I'm not really sure, but nonetheless, YouTube reserves the rights to delete certain items to get put in here. So I'm going to read this guy's comment, and this is, like I said, this is if you're not a person who has the ability to taper off of Kratom, you're finding that you're just not a taper person, but you want to get off of Kratom, this is what this comment is about. Now, it does have to do with pharmaceuticals, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, because this is something that you would have to see a doctor for, because he's discussing medications here like Suboxone, Subutex, and just the, how do you pronounce this, buprenorphine? I have no idea if I'm actually saying that right, but which is basically the active ingredient in something like Suboxone and Subutex. So it says here, I just wanted to suggest a way off of Kratom using pharmaceutical medications, but short term, in the span of 2 to 4 weeks at the most. This pharmaceutical intervention would be for individuals on higher doses of Kratom, or people who find it difficult or impossible to taper off of Kratom. Due to the ridiculously short duration of Kratom's effects, we are extremely sick in between doses, extremely restless, agitated, and mentally exhausted and unstable. Just horrible interdose withdrawal symptoms. I want to cut in right here. This is relative to how much you were taking. I don't find that the interdose withdrawal for me is really that bad. There are times where if I take like my last amount in the evening, say if I take it early at like 5 o'clock in the evening, and then I don't take any more for the rest of the night, I will sometimes wake up at 4, kind of 5 in the morning, and I can feel myself starting to come on a little bit, like of the slight withdrawals, like oh, I can feel my skin, you know, I can feel kind of my skin getting cold, or just you know how something like Kratom or other opiates, it just numbs you, right? Well, I can feel that numbing kind of starting to go away, and you know, a little bit of my mood will be a little bit more down, a little bit depressed sort of thing, which, given this is at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning when I've been sleeping all night, and I'm like a zombie when I get up anyway. I mean, it takes me a good hour, you know, just to wake up, and that's with coffee, you know, and that's with the other aids that help me wake up in the morning, plus moving around and getting your blood flowing and all that stuff. So that's not a perfect example of it, but for those on higher doses, like it seems like this gentleman was, then I can see the interdose withdrawals being pretty intense. He says, I've been using opioids on and off since 2003, so over 20 years. I'm 38 now. I think since we have used opioids for so long, people like us especially may be more sensitive to the side effects of Kratom in terms of interdose withdrawal. I've used other stuff like the gabapentins and the benzos, so it's hard for me. No matter what I do, I struggle to taper from Kratom for any reason. The only solution that I have found works is to use Subutex or Suboxone, but very methodically and short term. For instance, I took about 15 grams of Kratom a day for 6 months this time around. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, depending on the situation, but I tried to keep it at 15 grams. Previously, I was on 40 grams of Kratom the last time I detoxed. Anyway, recently, right before quitting Kratom, I did use 30 grams of Kratom the last 2 days I took Kratom before switching to Subutex. The first day, yesterday morning, I took 2 milligrams of Subutex. I wanted to replace all the Kratom off my receptors and have extra buprenorphine to saturate the receptors to avoid precipitated withdrawal. This is why I took extra. I may have been able to accomplish this with 1 milligram possibly, not sure. This morning, I took only 0.25 milligram of Subutex. I actually took another 0.25 milligrams in the afternoon, but tomorrow I will try to get by on 0.25 milligrams for an entire day. My goal is basically to just take enough to sleep and function on a basic level, but still be sick and uncomfortable. The important thing is getting the 0.25 milligrams of Suboxone or Subutex within the first week or two. Then let yourself adjust and taper off at a reasonable pace. But you can't stay on Suboxone too long, especially at a higher dose, or you will be in a worse situation than you were before. Well, regardless, I still think it's easier to raise Suboxone due to the long half-life. That's debatable. The main thing is to get off the Suboxone fast, and then stay off the opioids and stay away from Kratom. I have other meds to use as needed too, like memantine, memantine. I've never heard of that. Sometimes I'll take small amounts of gabapentin, but I try not to use Gabergix. Oh man, you're hitting me with all these crazy words I've never seen. This shit's live too. I don't edit this, man. You're sabotaging me, bro. Oh, but if you can, stuff like this can help if used in short term. Basically, this is how a professional rehab facility may get you off of Kratom, or in a similar way. Or maybe you can get a doctor to prescribe you these medications and supervise you. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Again, this is a method that this guy has used, and a method that this guy is suggesting based on getting professional help, whether you were at a rehab facility or a doctor. I don't go too hard in the paint on talking about this stuff, and the reason is because 95% of the people out there that are on some sort of opioids, I'm not going to say 95%, that's very subjective, I could be wrong. I would say a large majority of the people that are on some sort of opioids, when they come off, are not going to go see a doctor. Anytime, there's only been one time in my life that I've come off of narcotics and seen professionals for it. The other 2 or 3 times that I came off, I just did a complete cold turkey withdrawal on my own, and just did things, things that can kind of help mitigate and decrease the withdrawals. And from talking to different people out there, I think that would probably be the route that most people would take. Plus, Suboxone, unfortunately, keeps you dependent upon opioids, and that's why I'm not a big fan of the Suboxone. And for something like Kratom, that is a legal substance that people can go get large amounts of whenever they feel like it, you're not going to be under the care of a physician while taking Kratom. You understand what I mean? So to come off of Kratom and then get on something like Suboxone, that would be a concern for me, because my fear would be that that person would then, stay on Suboxone for a really long time. And I can tell you from experience, because I had a little stint with Suboxone the time that I did go and get professional help, and the withdrawals from Suboxone was no better, if not worse, than was the withdrawal from the Vicodin and Percocet that I was taking. And I also have a direct compare and contrasting with Kratom and Percocet. Kratom is not as bad. So while I appreciate the information, and that's why I gave the information, because if anybody out there is planning on going to see a doctor, maybe you'll kind of have a way of how you and the doctor together can maybe put a plan in place that looks maybe something like this. But for me personally, if I was going to come off of Kratom and I have absolutely no willpower to maintain a taper, I'm looking at cold turkey. I'm looking at cold turkey. It's doable. How do I know? Because I've done it, and I'm going to talk about that. So I was on the MIT 45s, and listen, when I tell you, when I talk about this, anybody out there who's on Percocet, Vicodin, any other, you know, stronger, harder narcotic, you just take whatever substance it is that you're on and replace that for the Kratom. When I tell you this, when I give you this information, because they're very, very similar. Not always similar in intensity, because as you know, a lot of that has to do with how much you're taking, how often, your current level of use, your current level of activity, whether you're sedentary, whether you eat healthy, whether you exercise, whether you drink a lot of water or you're dehydrated, your age, your sex. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on of items about you that can affect the rate and severity of these withdrawals. So it's not a one-size-fits-all sort of situation, but I can give you some things that can help with that. All right, so when I came off of the MIT 45, at this time, I was actually in between jobs. And I say that because if you're a person that has a ton of responsibility in your life, I'm not saying that it can't be done, but it definitely is more difficult handling day-to-day responsibilities when you feel like shit, when you're lethargic, when you're depressed to the point where you don't even want to say hello to people, when you have diarrhea, when you feel like you have the flu because your body can't maintain the correct temperature. All of these things are indicative of how you will feel if you abruptly stop taking something like MIT 45, whether it's Kratom, whether it's Vicodin, Percocet, whatever. And then the severity of these symptoms are going to depend on all of the former things that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, okay? So it's not going to be the same for everyone. But the biggest thing for me, anytime I've ever come off of opiates and stopped abruptly in a cold turkey situation, has been sleep. Okay? Lack of sleep. Now, if this should offer you any comfort, it may be minimal, but no one has ever died from lack of sleep. Okay? That's a true story. That's a true story. You can't die from lack of sleep. You know, it's a defense mechanism that your body has. Before you would just kill over dead, your body would just shut down and you would sleep, right? So nobody's ever died from lack of sleep. So I want to say that. But the sleep has been the biggest issue. And if you're the type of person that can man up, sack up, woman up, whatever it is that women do that will be the equivalent of a man sacking up, I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, if you are a person that can pull yourself up by your bootstraps, tuck in your shirt, and you know what, I'm going to handle this shit, kick this thing right in the teeth. You know, if you're one of those people that can do that and continue your day-to-day responsibilities with a cold turkey, here are some things that you can do to get yourself by, okay? Drink tons of water. Take melatonin at night. Melatonin did not work that well for me, but if you're in a severe withdrawal sort of situation, I just don't believe melatonin works. It does serve to make you sleepy, but not the issue when you're going through withdrawals is not that you're not tired. It's not that you're not sleepy. You're sleepy, but your body will not allow you to go to sleep for things like the hypertrophy, like constantly having to tense up and move, and you can't keep your legs still for more than 3 seconds without having to like straighten your legs out. You know, this the whole restless leg thing. It's horrible. It's horrible, and it's those reasons that people have trouble, you know, falling asleep. It's not because you're not sleepy, right? So melatonin will help you get sleepy, but it's not going to help you go to sleep. Maybe if your withdrawals are slight and you haven't been taking a lot of the opiates and stuff like that, melatonin may work for you. So anyway, melatonin, taking vitamins, you know, when you're on some sort of drug, opiate-like substance for an extended period of time, it depletes certain vitamins and minerals that exist and automatically in your body. It causes, your body is prioritizing those opioids to a point where it is not, what's the word? It's not absorbing the vitamins that you get through your food as efficiently as it would if it didn't have to prioritize and process all the opiates. So take extra vitamins and stuff, and that will help a little bit, like with the withdrawals as well. Cold showers and exercise. Anything that is going to cause you to use your muscles. It's counterintuitive. It's exactly the opposite of what you feel like doing when you're in withdrawals. I get it. But it's one of those things you have to force yourself to do it. And if you can force yourself to do it, it does help some with the relaxation piece. As far as things that you can take to help with the withdrawals, there's just not a whole lot. Okay, I'm going to be completely honest about that. And it's just going to suck for a little while. And like I said, you know where you're at in your own life. You know whether you're in a position where you're able to put this sort of effort into something at the moment, because it's going to be tough every day. You know, write stuff down. Try to keep yourself engaged in things. Keep your hands moving at all times. Plan out your day from one thing to another. At 1 o'clock, I'm going to do this. At 2:30, I'm going to stop. I'm going to do this. At 5 o'clock, I'm going to do this. This will help you to stop obsessing, as a drug addict does, about when you're going to get your next fix, sort of thing. What else did I leave out? Most of it is just toughing your way through it. And if you're a type of person that can tough your way through it, kudos to you. That's the only way I've really been able to successfully quit something like Kratom or Percocets or Vicodin, and that same scenario is persisting this time. I still haven't come completely off of Kratom this time, so that's going to be in my upcoming videos. I know you guys have seen me, you know, I've been a trooper for I'm going to get off, I'm going to taper down, and then you've seen me like, now I'm just taking it like I normally would. I'm just a regular Kratom user, right? So you guys have seen me like on the fence, off the fence, on the fence, off the fence. Look, that's the realness. That's the transparency that I talk about. And I think that's one of the reasons people like this channel. I'm just a real guy. You know, I'm not some higher, you know, higher purposed individual that's just extending my gracious hand to try to help all of you heathens with all your struggles. Nah, I'm right there with you. You know, and I'm trying to just be a leader and grab your hands and to say, let's do it together, because I'm all over the fucking place, man. Anyway, I gotta go. I'll continue this about the withdrawals and ways to help with that in my next video. Love you guys. Appreciate all the support. This is Corey. If you like the video, please subscribe, because it's a free service. I don't ask anything else from you, okay? All right. You guys have a great rest of the day. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.